If you don't want to bore yourself with your solos, the first approach most people take is a scale-based approach. Everybody goes, right, okay, we're in G, and this is usually where they go as well. They play the minor pentatonic there on the G, and it's a scale, and that's where your licks are, and you might learn some licks, and you go, all right, I'm going somewhere. But after enough time, you start thinking to yourself, I need something else. I need to go a different route. And this is what it's all about. So shifting to doing something with chord tone soloing is going to bring you a different colour, different textures. It's going to open up things so that you think to yourself, oh, I've got more melodic choices here. And you'll hear things and you'll make these decisions. And the way I think about it, I don't want to get married to one idea for too long. I want to play a bit of a lick, move through a bit of a scale fragment into a triad shape, into targeting a chord tone, and definitely having a chord tone that I want to target at the end of the phrase. So I have a beginning, a middle, and an end planned, but loosely planned from an improvisational perspective. So we've got this E shape here, right? Okay. And then these are our shapes. They're simple shapes. And we've got these as bar chords. Now, the thing I love about this is, if you struggle with scales and remembering the scales, then you're going to love this. Don't get me wrong, we need scales. But we also need to be able to mix it up. I'm showing you all this bar chord stuff here, and you think to yourself, Ricky, I can't play bar chords. You don't need to play bar chords because we're going to simplify it. We're going to focus on the 5R3s, those second inversion triads, for all of these 6 chords, for the majors and the minor chords here. Let me run through that. So there's my chord. I'm going to discard the bar now. Rid of the bar, and I'm just going to hold the E shape. So there is the E shape. So this becomes the home sort of landing strip, the North Star, if you will, for my chord soloing. So if I'm playing, if there's a chord 1 underneath, yeah? So that's there. I know that these are my safe notes. They're very vanilla, they fit, they work. You're not going to sound out, but you do need to understand the emotional value of each of these notes. So let me just reiterate what's going on here. The root note is home for the chord. Yes, so if I play a G here, that G is the root note for the chord. That's the most stable sound. It's the home note for that chord. The 5th is nearly home. Not quite, nearly, yeah? Because if I go from that 5th to the root, you can hear that that sounds more finished. Listen. Right? So there's the 5, there's the R. Right, now let's look at the 3. Now if you think about it, when I play this E major shape here, E major, bright, cheerful, happy. If I take that finger off, turn it into a minor chord, I get a sad, melancholic sound. Yes, so just modifying that one finger, that's the difference. 3rd is the emotion note. And this is one of the things that I've told my students for years. The thing that people do is they go, all right, I'm going to do a solo. My solo's going, right, okay. And they start on the root note. You're home already. You can start on a colour note. And this is what the 3rd is. If you've got this G chord coming in here, and you start on the 3rd, it's just more interesting, guys. It's just way more interesting starting on a colour note, an emotional note. The root note, we reserve it for when we're finishing a phrase. All we're doing is we're having a conversation on the guitar. Let's run through these major shapes. This is the grid. 1, 4, 5 here. Let's take the 5R3s. So we've got 5R3 here. Well, let's put it here. This is the A shape. 5R3. Those are my target notes, and because I know that these are my 5R3s, that's nearly home, that's emotion. A colour note is the 3rd. The 5th is transparent, doesn't add any emotion to the feeling at all. It stabilises the root. That's the way I see it. Yeah, so 5R3 there. If we move up, here we've got 5R3 again on chord 5. Now if you think about it, if somebody said, right, we're in the key of G, you don't need much more than this. So you're in the key of G. And I'm just playing those notes from those three shapes. A bit obvious there. So these are my target zones. This is what I'm looking at. I know the chords. The other guitar players, they're going. Right, and I'm going. Those are the spots that I've got. Now, I know that if I target that shape when that chord is happening, I'm going to sound in. If I target those notes there when that shape's happening, I might be slightly out on some of the notes, but that's okay because they're part of the key. They're part of the family. See, look, there's the 5R3 of the E shape. If I add that to the A shape that I have there for that C, it's going to give me a major 7 sound. So this is a really interesting way of doing these things. So look, I've got this one here. Okay, so those are the majors. Well, let's do it with the minors. Now, the cool thing is, we're working on as triads anyhow, which is great. Let's look at chord 6, which we had here was an E minor chord. Get rid of the bar. What's left? We've got the 5, we've got the R, and we've got the flat 3, which is the minor. Can you hear already? Putting that on top of that, it's a really nice thing to be. Let's move on to chord 3 here. We've got 5, R, flat 3, chord 2, 5, R, flat 3. So now we've added another 3 shapes to this 5R3 that we had from the majors. So let me just run through these. I'll run through them one chord at a time. So, chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6. So we've got this way of memorizing where we're going to play. And the beautiful thing is, like I said, these act as little North Stars to help us to find little nuggets of melody.